we want to jump in to this Google Sheet, which is called our cash flow management tool. And this is what you're going to download. And this is the template that you're going to start using to manage your finances. You'll see everything that's in yellow and red, that's customizable. That's what you're going to go put all the data into. So the first thing we're going to do is just put our business name in. And we're going to use AVR Consulting as our business name. And then we're going to start populating things. So just a quick little note about cash flow management is we are looking at a projection. So we're looking at a future date and time to make sure that we have enough money in our bank, enough cash available to us, whether it's in our bank or credit cards, wherever it is, to meet the obligations we need to meet. And so the first thing you actually need to do is you need to set a date and time that you are projecting towards. And you should keep that consistent. So for instance, we use the last day of the month. Okay, so in this case, it's August, 31st of August being the date we are going to project until. Okay, which is great. A lot of companies can use that. I would recommend you start using that. The only time I wouldn't use that date is if you have a particular day in a month that you know you have massive expenditure. Like if you're paying massive salaries in the middle of the month, say the 14th of the month, if I was you, I'd use the 14th of the month as a day to work towards, and then again the end of the month as a day to work towards, to make sure that on the 14th, that this balance that you're going to have in this column, in this little block here, is sufficient to meet those requirements. Or if you buy inventory on the same day every single month, use that day as your reporting date. But right now, we're going to use the end of the month. Okay, so we put in our business name, and then we're going to go in and we're going to put in where all our money is, so what our bank account. So we're going to use some examples here. We've got a Chase 1 account, we've got a Chase 2 account, we also have a Chase credit card account. Okay, and these, I'm just going to make a note here, is current date. So we're using what is the balance on this current date. So under balance, in the first one, let's just say there's 15,000, let's say there's 10,000 in the other one, and let's say on your credit card you have an $8,000 balance, meaning you owe the bank $8,000 on your credit card. It's then important to realize what line of credit do you have. So you usually don't have any credit on your current account, so that's a zero. And then, but on your credit card, you may have a line of credit. So your credit facility could be, let's say, $20,000, which means you can use up to $20,000 on your credit card. So in this case, we've still got another $12,000 that we can use on our credit card because we've obviously used the $8,000 already. So that's the current date right now. So then you can jump over here and it says current available is $37,000, which is your 15, your 10, and your 12. That's how much cash you have available, $37,000. Okay, if you had to settle your credit card, it will be this 25 minus the 8, which is $17,000 with no debt whatsoever, no credit card debt. That's a nice little thing to see to make sure you know where you're at in your business. Okay, now we want to work towards what is our cash flow going to be until the end of the month. Okay, so to populate this block here, we need to go down to our current month-end cash forecast tab, where we're going to see how much money we're going to make till the end of the month. And here we're going to put in all our income items. So for instance, at ABR Consulting, we do bookkeeping for people, we do consulting for people. Okay, I'm just going to use those two for now. In terms of expenditure, we do some marketing, we have a payroll expense, we have some rent. Okay, so I'm just going to use those three for now. So my budget for the month of August was, I hope we can bring in $15,000 in bookkeeping, maybe another $10,000 for consulting. Our marketing, we can do some Facebook advertising or whatever it may be. Let's just say it's $5,000 for the month. Make sure it's a negative, it's an expense. Our payroll is a nice big one for us. It's $15,000 and our rent is $2,000. Okay, so we're projecting at the end of the month, after we paid all our salaries, we've done all our marketing and our rent, and we've brought in all the money we hope to bring in, we're going to generate $3,000 worth of surplus cash flow into our business. And there's the $3,000 right there. But now that may not happen. That's just the budget. So now we've got to go look at actuals as well. So it's only the 2nd of August. So let's, for instance, say we've brought in $2,500 of bookkeeping fees thus far, and we brought in $1,000 worth of consulting fees. We're hoping to bring in the rest as the month goes. We spent, say, $500 on marketing. We haven't spent anything on payroll yet because that only comes later in the month. And we actually paid our cash flow. We paid our rent right in the beginning. So our actual figures for the last 2 days of the month is we've brought in $3,500 of income and we spent $2,500 in marketing and rent. Okay, so what that's saying is until the end of the month, which is this balance column here, and I want you to look at the balance column, we're only going to bring in an extra $2,000 surplus of income, made up of the $21,500 from the rest of our income and the $19,500 we expect to pay out between marketing and payroll at the end of the month. And you'll see that's already changed that to the $2,000 because from this day forward, we only expect to generate that $2,000 surplus. Now, you can go in here and you can put your budget in and you can see what that looks like. And as you go back into the sheet throughout the month, as you're tracking things, you'll keep changing this actual column to see where you're at. So if it was a little bit later in the month, we maybe got to 4,500, we maybe got to 5,000 in that. We had our first major payroll expense, so we paid half our salaries. So then you can see, hey, okay, that's where I am now, which means I've got another $3,500 still to come in surplus cash flow until the end of the month, okay? And you can just continually track that actual until you get till the end of the month, continually making sure that you correctly accounting for how much money is going to flow into your business. You may then look to make some adjustments and say, hey, you know what, I suspect we're going to make $20,000 from bookkeeping and not 15, so I can add an additional $5,000 into the adjustment. Now, you can add it straight into the budget if you want, but we like to keep the budget set from the beginning of the month so we can see what we said all along and use the adjustment tab. So I've said an extra $5,000 in bookkeeping, which means you'll see ours jump from 3.5 to 8.5 because we're going to generate that extra little bit. But to do that, we had to spend an extra $1,500 on marketing. And so I'll add that into the adjustment, and all of a sudden you'll see, oh, we're only going to bring in $7,000 to the end of the month because of all the marketing expenditure that we foresee having to spend in order to generate that extra bookkeeping. And what that does is that automatically populates this tab at the top saying, okay, you had $37,000 right now, this current date, the 2nd of August. You anticipate to bring in a surplus of $7,000, which means at the end of the month, your projected cash flow is going to be $44,000 available to you. You're still going to have $8,000 in credit, and which without any debt, you're going to have $24,000 available to you. So and this is also a budgeting tool, so you can add in as many columns as you want here. You can fill in all of these as you want to see them, and you can budget accordingly, and you can start tracking your expenditure. You can see where you are in your totals. Okay, how much have I spent of how much I've budgeted to spend, and it's a great way for you to see how your money is going to flow for the rest of the month. The other one is just an additional tab, so there could be something outside. I want to buy a computer. Let's just call it a computer. I want to go buy a Mac computer towards the end of the month to make sure that I obviously needed a computer, so that could be an extra expenditure, so I could put that in there. It could have a tax expenditure, for instance. Tax, it's spelled properly. And let's say it was $1,000. And as you add those, it will then adjust your projected cash flow. So that's a tool that you guys can use, that you can take that and you can start using it right now to track cash flow in your business. And I just want to quickly show you what we do with our clients. This is a test company we have with our clients, and you'll see it follows the exact same format, a little bit different to the one I've just shared with you and the one that you can access. And this is the major tool we use with our clients. And you can see there's a whole lot of other little tabs at the bottom here. And the reason why there's a whole lot of tabs is because this tool is actually automatically integrated into QuickBooks, automatically integrated with Stripe, so that all of that manual part that you were doing, so if I jump back to that other one, all of this manual part you were doing here and all of this manual part you were doing there is actually done for you already. It's all automatically done through QuickBooks. You'll see there's a lot less yellow here because everything else is done automatically. And there's got some future cash flow to projected months going forward. There's a big sales breakdown, profit and loss for the entire year, making sure you're tracking what you're doing. There's an entire tax element to it. There's a sales breakdown. There's a tax tab at the bottom so you can make sure that you're tracking your taxes accordingly. And we'll take, for our clients, we take them through this. We manage this for them so that it's all done for them. You'll see there's a budget and actuals tab, which you can track all your expenditure and all the budgets you have for the entire year to keep control of your finances. That little tool that you had in terms of changing expenditure and tracking the actuals, this is it. You got a simplified version. This actuals directly brought in from QuickBooks, so it's live, up to date whenever you go in, and you can obviously just change little things and track that. There's an awesome sales tool we have linked into Stripe, so you can track each and every single day where you are in your sales. Have you met your targets or not? And there's a big year-to-date sales tab as well that just details all your sales from day to day. And that's the the tool we use with our clients. So that's the dashboard. It's obviously got a whole lot more detail to it, but right now I want you guys to download this thing, download this cash flow tool, start using it today in your business so you can track your cash flow. It's hugely important to your success. If you need any help with that, contact us and we'll be glad to help you. Thanks for taking the time, guys. We really do appreciate it, and we hope this serves you well in the future.